here.
One person.
Okay. So it records and I'll post it later. So I'll go ahead and tell you what happened. Okay. So, oh, yeah, you're coming back. Thank you. Sorry about that. Um, so it is Friday morning in China, and I'm normally at school. I normally am at work, but it is a Dragon Boat Festival, which is a big holiday in China, so we don't have school. But I'm on my school computer, and on my browser, I have a browser or a website blocker to keep me off Substack while I'm supposed to be at work. So because of
That's
my
awesome.
ADHD, yeah, it was because of my ADHD and how I'll hyper focus on Substack, I was spending way too much time on it. So I downloaded a blocker on my phone and on my desktop so that I only get 30 minutes during working hours to be on Substack. Completely forgot about it. So we got cut
Picked you
off.
up.
A message popped up and said, "Shouldn't you be working?" I was like, "What? What? Oh shit!" So,
Hey, but
anyway,
that's a good point though. Um, Good job with creating limitations and boundaries for yourself.
yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, it's okay that this happened because it's totally a neurodivergent thing. Like it was there because of my neurodivergence, and it happened because I forgot it was there because of my neurodivergence.
And the nice thing is, like, this is life, right? Such is life. Like, things do not go perfectly, and that's perfectly fine. And we have to be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, that is very true. So the last thing I remember is you were talking about supplements and how, especially in the US, it's crazy because there's no regulation and the testing
Yeah.
shows,
Yeah.
some are
And so we
fake.
just, yeah. So I just said everyone needs to be careful. Just
Mm,
make sure that you're buying from reputable brands and,
yeah,
what's in stuff because, again, it's the wild, wild west around here with that.
yeah, that's true. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was and of course, you can't diagnose me here, and so this isn't a diagnosis, but I am turning 40 this year. I am neurodivergent.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if I think I'm entering perimenopause because we went from, we started tracking, and I told you my average is 26-day cycle, and I had a 24-day cycle. Then the next month, I had a full 28, which didn't seem abnormal, except the severity of the PMDD and how I hadn't like missed a dose of Zoloft, I hadn't changed anything, and it was more severe than it had been in years. And then this past cycle was 19 days. I've never had a cycle so short before. And it was weird because obviously there wasn't a lot of Ludel. And so the PMDD symptoms were almost non existent because there was only a couple days where I'm like entering into Ludel and feeling. And I know I did ovulate because I know my body well enough to know the signs of
Hmm.
ovulation. I did ovulate. Um, and then, but the period was also weird. Like it didn't follow my normal, you spot the first half day and then super heavy and cramping the second day. It was, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't 100% normal, like the flow and everything. It was very out of the ordinary. So when I woke up on day 19 and was bleeding, I was like, oh shit, I'm old.
No, you're young. Um, what's your question about it?
Should I be looking into the possibility of perimenopause starting?
Yeah, so let's talk about that because you mentioned an age, right? And so the average age in the US of menopause is 51 and a half, right? So obviously, if that's average, there's people before and after. But symptoms of perimenopause can start 7 to 14 years before actual menopause. Okay, there's 10% of women will not will fly through perimenopause and menopause. 10%. God
Wow.
bless them, whoever they are. However, That means the 90%, the rest of us, the 90% of us, are going to have some sort of dysfunction in that time period. So if you do the math, women can start having symptoms of perimenopause in their 30s. And this is why a lot of women get misdiagnosed with different things. We're very, in our culture, in our community, I say culture, but I meant like the neurodivergent culture and
Mhm.
community, we're used to being misdiagnosed, which is terrible. And I hate that. But we're used to that piece, right? But that's why, like, a 32-year-old woman could come in the office and she could be having these symptoms of perimenopause. And they're like, no, first off, they don't even look at that. They just say it's anxiety, whatever, drink wine, do yoga, whatever they say. But absolutely it can be. And one of the first, telltale signs of perimenopause is periods changing. And that looks different for everyone. It's not like oh, they shorten, then lengthen, then get lighter, then get heavier. No, it's really can be anything. Typically what I'll say, and that's statistically, the flow changes and then the days change where they could get shorter or longer. And obviously, eventually, they lengthen out completely, right? Because the definition of menopause is 12 months with no period. So you have to have no, you don't have to have, or you have to have no period for that significant period of time. And interestingly, the closer we get to menopause, the better our symptoms from a PMDD standpoint get.
Mm.
And it's because we're not always in follicular. And this happens a lot too. Women will say to me, I'm post menopause and I still feel like I cycle. And you do, right? Like your estradiol goes away if you don't replace it with, HRT. But we still make some estrogen, which is E3, and it's actually an inflammatory piece of estrogen, which is why there's a lot that goes into perimenopause and menopause, but it's also part of the reason why more women have dementia than men after menopause, right? Women are 4 times more likely than men to get dementia. That's one of the reasons, because we know that our estrogen receptors actually upregulate when there's not estrogen around, which is also one of the reasons why I think, and again, we'd need a lot more studies on this, which we're hoping to get, why neurodivergent women have PMDD, part of it, or why we have a harder time, right? Because those, as that estrogen goes down naturally, we're not even talking perimenopause at this point, right? We're just talking about luteal, and that, as the estrogen naturally goes down, those brain receptors for estrogen upregulate. So we need more, but we're not getting it, right? And so there's a lot that complicated that goes into it. But if you think, the first thing I would say is, to anybody, is if you think that you are starting to have perimenopausal symptoms, or something isn't right, tracking is the first thing to do, because I can pick out pattern predictability very quickly if you're writing it down. Simple. Like I said, I just created that GPT for my subscribers, because all you have to do, it's so easy, right? I created everything. All you say is, today I have this symptom, today I have this symptom, today I ate this, da, da, da. And then at the end of the month, you say, hey, give Dr. Sarah a report of all of my symptoms, right? And then we can see the predictability. You'll be shocked, even though you know your own body. If you actually record, you're going to be like,
Mhm.
over a couple cycles, you'll be like, oh my gosh, like day 6, like this is the day. And then we can treat from there, right? Because we can say, okay, well, day 6, it seems like over your last 3 cycles, it was really it. Let's start interventions on day 8 so that you never get there, right? We
Mhm.
don't let that happen, right? So that we're not trying to recover from something, where we're optimizing that and we're never letting that body get so depleted that we have such extreme symptoms.
Mm. Okay. I just wonder how I'm going to go about perimenopause in China, because women's health is different here. I haven't, let me say this for the people watching. The medical here is amazing. I am in a smaller, for expats, a smaller area. I'm in Northeast China. There's not as much um, private hospitals or expat focused hospitals or Western focused hospitals here. Beijing, Shanghai, all the big cities, yes. And the Chinese system is amazing too, but it is different. And when you don't speak the language, that makes it so much harder. So I'm not saying that there's not good stuff here. There really, really is. And even if a private hospital is cheaper than getting medical in the US, and they're all Western trained, it's just my access up here in Northeast China is more limited and takes more spoons, and that's the main reason. There might be an amazing female doctor up here, but I haven't made the effort to find it because I'll need help with translation. I'll need someone to go with me.
Yeah.
It takes so much energy. I would probably let a limb fall off before I went through. And then we just changed insurance at my school, and I'm not a big fan of the new insurance because the old one had direct pay, this one doesn't. So yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Again, real problems, right? Like this happens here in the US too, right?
That's
And
true.
then so insurance and access to care is a real issue and a real problem for a lot of people. So I think, well, what I think is you start tracking. I think that's number one, right? You start tracking, let's see what's actually going on. And then I think when you have the ability, you start doing a little bit of research. And the other thing is, I don't know if you ever come back to the States or not, but if you like take trips every once in a while, but if you did, you always could load up while you were here and bring it back. Not as ideal, but but I mean, I have clients that go to Spain for a year, and go do this and go do that. I know you're living there, but
Mhm.
um, or I guess you could also, if you found someone in one of those bigger cities, maybe could get a 6 month supply and then go back every 6 months or something that might be more feasible for you.
Mhm. And I think that I might be able to get it fine here once I figured out exactly what I needed. It's more of the provider than finding the medication, so or the supplements. But yeah, I do come
You
back. I'll
start.
be in July. I'll be in Oklahoma.
Okay. So also maybe a good time. I don't know how if you even have insurance here, but you can do cash pay labs and all that kind of stuff. And if you wanted to, if you thought it was easier to navigate the system here.
Yeah, I was thinking about in Oklahoma we have some options that are for low income, and I was considering doing that while there.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
see why not. But start tracking, like use I'll send you my GPT. But and again, because it's low maintenance, right? That's the whole point of it. I wanted you just be able to say something, put it down, like when you thought of it, or type it in and then forget about it. And then when you're ready, you're like, what the heck has been going on? That's why I'm trying to tell all my ladies to put everything in there. Like you should put what you're eating. Again, you can talk it right into there, into the GPT, and then it's easy. Why was lose this month last month, and you looked and like 5 days before you took in like 40 grams of protein, when you really need 120. You could
mhm.
be okay. Well, clearly, I need to make sure that I have enough protein and fiber before luteal, or it's going to be worse for me. So, tracking and predicting patterns is so, so important. I can't even stress that enough because then we can be precision guided, right? We can target what's actually happening in your body because guess what? Every single one of us are different, right? What makes my luteal and my PMDD worse isn't the same as you or the other people watching. So even when we're in these communities and we talk to each other, I hear things all the time like I did this and it was a saving grace. Well, it's not going to be a saving grace for someone else. Like people will say that about magnesium. Like I love magnesium. Like magnesium you need in your body anyway, but and so it's very good. But some people will have a dramatic response to magnesium, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Those are people that are magnesium deficient. Okay. Some people, if you're not severely magnesium deficient, magnesium is still needed to do those enzymatic reactions, but you're not going to get that like overwhelming feeling of like, holy cow, like this is a life changer, right? Like I've cured people's migraines with magnesium, but those are women that migraines were because they didn't have enough magnesium, you know? So I just say that because what works for one person isn't going to work for the other. And I don't want people get, discouraged. At least I did. I got discouraged before I was a physician and knew that. I'm like, oh, they said this works, and I would try it and it wouldn't work. And again, it'd be one more way I thought I was a failure, all right, or
Mhm.
oh my god, I messed up. It's me. Like they said this worked, and I tried it and it didn't. And that's not true. Like all of us are individualized. All of our bodies are individual, and different things are going to work on us. Are going to be the one, the thing that's like, oh, okay, this trigger really worked.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too. I'm glad you mentioned that, especially in today's like health guru culture and everything. And there's all these supplements, and this did that, and that did this for me. And then we spend all the money and it doesn't work for us. And it's like you said, that's because magnesium is amazing for people that the effect is amazing for people that are deficient. And so these supplements, they're really, if your body is producing enough of those supplements, you might not spend $150 a month and not feel anything from it. And then you feel discouraged because, well, it changed their life and I still feel the same way. So I think that that's a good point to mention that, and knowing our bodies and doing the research and finding tracking and finding out our levels, that's important so that we're not throwing away money also, because us neurodivergent people tend to do that. That ADHD tax will get us every time.
Well, and also like we want to feel better. Like,
Yeah.
it's that, but it's also the like we have this need to not feel so distressed all the time, and we deserve not to, feel that. But that's also why it's easy, that I mentioned the supplement companies, but that's why it's easy to target us because it's like, oh, take this memory, I don't know, crazy stuff, energy, da, 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 and I'm looking at it, and a lot of them have adaptogens in it, which is again are good for some people, but they're horrific for other people, especially midlife women, by the way, that are neurodivergent because they don't work well. They inhibit an enzyme that we need actually for dopamine. So again, it's so nuanced. And so it's important to work with someone that knows, but also to track your own body and understand and know the things that can work. And again, there's baseline supplementation that everybody needs. So magnesium, even if it doesn't life alter you, you still need it for those building blocks. Same thing with omegas, right? Omega 3s with CoQ10. Also, those help from neuroinflammatory space, in that piece. And we don't need any neuroinflammation. And as we hit midlife in neurodivergence, a whole new caveat comes on to that, because now we do have, metabolic changes that are even worse, and more inflammation and more insulin resistance. And now as estrogen goes down, our triglycerides go up, which by the way, that then inhibits an enzyme we need to make dopamine. Like it just can get really complicated for us. So don't fall prey to that, you know just really, I think the most important thing is track, find out your predictable patterns, and then seek help, from someone who knows what to do. Ask the questions. I wouldn't go to any physician that didn't understand neurodivergence, and I get that that can be hard to find, but I just ask those questions, right? Like, do you understand the neurodivergent brain? And I'll tell you right now, if the provider and the physician does, their front staff know they do, right? Like if somebody calls my office and is like, "Oh, do you deal with ADHD?" They immediately know what I do. If they have a hard time answering that, or they don't know, you know what I mean? Then you're like,
Mhm.
maybe that's not the person you want to go to, because you need to go to someone that also understands the nuances of neurodivergence, because it's important.
Yeah, it's definitely important. I would agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so I think, I mean, that about covers everything I had. And I just had an idea, if you're okay with this, that for those that are following along, they might enjoy this. So I will be in the States this summer. You gave me so many recommendations. I still have to, like, of course I went through all of them, but and made little note cards. But I'm gonna go back through them. And if there was one change, like one supplement you could recommend that I do first, because there was a lot in ADHD. I need to focus on one. What would you recommend? Because I'm thinking it would be cool to follow along with, of course, some of your food recommendations, lifestyle recommendations, and then maybe one supplement and then report back after a month to see what I noticed from your
Yes.
recommendations. And I can load up on a good brand of or magnesium or whatever you suggest while I'm there. What would the one supplement be that you would recommend?
It would be a multi-elemental magnesium 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So,
I'll give you the brand I like, which is Qualia. It's called Qualia Magnesium. It's 8 elemental magnesiums, plus has a little bit of boron, and it has a mineral, trace mineral element, which is great because it gives you back like 600 trace minerals, which you need. But that would be the first thing that I would start hands down on the table every night, 2 of them every night.
okay, perfect. When we hang
But
up,
since you're only letting me pick one, okay, that's hard for me.
I know, but
She's
we have to start
challenging
with,
me.
we'll start with, also, it's good for data though. Like, if we
It
add
is.
too
It
many, then
is.
it's
Yeah.
like, which one's
It's true.
working? So,
It's true. It's true. It's good for our experiment.
exactly. Okay, so I will be the guinea pig. So, when we hang up, can you just send me the one that you
Yeah.
recommend and I'll get it ordered in? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so do you have anything else to add? Can we do questions on here? I don't know. Can we
I
like,
don't know that I could see if anyone, I don't, because I'm on my phone, so I'm not sure that I could see a chat. Can you?
let me see.
Chat.
There's a button for
Can
chat,
someone
but like,
say, can someone say something in the chat, just hi or something, just so we can see? Because hold on, let me see if I can do it too, because I'm a guest. Did you see that?
yeah, there it is. Okay.
Okay.
So if there are any questions or comments from anybody watching, we could do that
You
real
also
quick.
can comment if you don't want to comment live, you can comment on the video after it's posted and we can respond back to you too if you feel, safer doing that. That's cool too. I'm sorry it's getting dark here.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
looking
night.
like a ghost. But before we go though, I really do want to just say thank you to you for sharing your experience because I really do think it's powerful and I think it should empower every one of us to be able to say something that we're uncomfortable with or share experience just for the benefit of helping everyone else. And that's really what we're here for. And, to help guide each other along and to support each other. And sometimes there's not an answer that can make us feel better when we're going through it. It's just simply having that community. I will tell you this on a longevity standpoint that loneliness is equivocal to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And
Wow.
so there is huge, huge mental power in community. And as you see, we're not even anywhere close to each other, right? She's in China, I'm in Florida, but we can still share that community with each other and support each other and be there. And so that's what I would offer as well is that we have to keep doing these things, ladies. We have to keep talking about it. We have to keep being there for each other because that is wellness, right? That's part of wellness. I'm not interested in smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So I want to be in community with you and we have to be there for each other and support each other. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for being here. And I do want to say thank you to, I noticed there are some men that joined and also follow us. And thank you so much for being here also. I think it's important that not only women, but everybody understands what happens with our
Yeah.
bodies and what's going on. And because, they're going to have daughters, wives,
Hmm. Yeah.
sisters. So it's really important and it's good to have you in our community as well. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, everybody. Thank you
All
so
right.
much for coming. We appreciate it and all our snafus.
Yes, thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. Have a good night.
Yep.